And we are back with some more Nova Scotia Supernovas franchise mode, and in this one we have the Year 10 regular season simulation, and hopefully this year we will be able to repeat our performance from last year, not only during the regular season but during the playoffs. Of course, last year we finished 60, 18, and 4, 124 points, and we were the Stanley Cup champions, so I don't know how it really gets much better than that, but we're going to try to do it anyway. Because if we can repeat, that is our third Stanley Cup in 6 years. And I don't see why we couldn't do it. We have probably just as much talent this year as we did last year. I mean, we did lose Tomek and Liljegren. Of course, we traded Tomek and we released Liljegren due to salary cap restraints, but that's really about it. Unfortunately, we are starting with Linus Eriksson unavailable due to a fractured tibia for 2 to 3 months, so definitely an unfortunate injury there in the preseason. But we are more than deep enough to deal with an injury like that. I mean, we have 1 2.5-star player and 2 2-star players. That's it. Every other player on our team is 3-star or above. We should have no issue, unless we just get an incredible amount of injuries like we did after the last time we won the Stanley Cup, because I believe it was this season right here where we just got injuries to basically every important player on the team, and things went south in the second half of the season. Hopefully this is not a repeat of that, and more so a repeat of last season. But of course, now that I've said that, that's probably what's going to happen, isn't it? So let's take a look at the lines. You have Peter, Yeager, and Onishko on the first line. Second line, you have Stenberg, Makarov, and Lodnia. Third line, you have Velikov, Nemestikov, and Zetterberg. And then the fourth line is Klee, Beck, and Khmelevsky. On defense, you have Chychrun and Juricek, Kiviharju and Provorov, and then Fabro with Wu. And then in goal, you have Ivanov and Paris. Paris is now a 3-star, I believe. Yes, indeed. So, like I said, shouldn't have any trouble this year. And presuming that is the case, I think we'll go up to the halfway point of the season, so around January 1st, do a little analysis, make sure everything's where I would want it to be. And as long as that's the case, we could probably just skip past the trade deadline and to the end of the season. Although it is worth noting, we do have a couple of big contracts coming up this year. Actually, quite a few. Ivanov, Peter, Chychrun, Provorov. Yeah, some big names there. So definitely going to have to, I guess, leave our options open going into the trade deadline. Although, like I said, I would prefer not to make any moves during the trade deadline. But unfortunately, I can't imagine that Ivanov and Peter would be wanting less money. In fact, Peter's probably going to want at least double what he's making right now. Oh yeah, 6.6 for 5 years. We might have to decide between Provorov and Chychrun. We might just have to decide between Provorov and Chychrun, because it is not looking like we're going to be able to keep all 4 of these guys. What about Ivanov? What does he want? 7.2? Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. With the amount that Peter and Ivanov are asking for, it's one or the other with Provorov or Chychrun. Like, I don't mind holding on to both of them beyond the trade deadline, but if that's the case, then one of them is definitely getting released. No doubt about it. And that would definitely be unfortunate. So we're at the very least going to have to consider our options heading into the trade deadline. So you know what? with that in mind, I don't think I want to skip past the trade deadline in this one, because that's going to be a pretty big decision. Obviously, I'm not going to make that decision now, though, because we have yet to see how they'll both perform this year. I would imagine they're going to be asking for roughly the same amount of money. Chychrun only wants $5 million, but he wants a no trade clause, or no movement clause, excuse me. What about Provorov? 5.4. Okay, so they both want no movement clauses, but they're both asking for less money, significantly less money than what they're making now. I guess that makes sense given they're getting older, but Provorov wanted 5.4, so that's like 2.5 less than what he's making right now. Chychrun wanted 5 million, so that's like 2 million less than what he's making now. Okay, I mean, I'm not sure. Like I said, I still don't think we're going to be able to make that work, just given how much Ivanov and Peter want. But it's good to know that both of them are at least coming down on their asking price compared to what they're making right now. So hopefully it stays like that throughout the season. And don't forget, we also have to give extensions to Klee and Velikov. Klee's asking for 3.1, Velikov 2 mil. And I do want to have a little wiggle room. So yeah, I can't imagine we're going to be able to afford both of these guys. We'll just have to see what happens. But anyway, that was just something to consider heading into the trade deadline. But obviously that's a ways away from now, so I think we can start the simulation now. All right, so we are on January 1st. We are 27, 10, and 5. first in our division, well, tied for first actually, with the Florida Panthers. And in the league, we are tied for second. A three-way tie, actually, between us, St. Louis, and Florida. And just given how we're simulating, I don't want to trade Provorov or Chychrun, but I can't. I can't. I have to hold on to both of them. Right now, we're just in a position to win, and I just don't feel like I could give up on either of them because of that. So, like, maybe if we were in a different position, like maybe if we were just barely in the playoffs, maybe I'd consider trading one of them at the deadline, but just given how good we are, we take the risk of going into the playoffs with both of them and then parting ways with one of them in the offseason. That's just all there is to it. Like, you don't trade that kind of player away when you're in the middle of a season following up a Stanley Cup championship when you have the opportunity to get another. You know, no, we're not trading Provorov or Chychrun. They're both staying, and one of them's just got to go in the offseason. That's just how it is. And look at that. Brayden Yeager is officially a 5-star player. And then not only that, but Peter and Onishko are now both 4.5-star players. So we have such a good team, guys. Like, I mean, if I had to guess, this is probably the deepest roster in the league. As we take a look, yeah, I don't think anyone even compares, to be honest. Maybe Toronto to an extent, just because they have Matthews and Marner and Robertson, but even their depth doesn't compare with ours, you know? Like, they have the star power, sure, but okay, Vancouver's looking pretty good. But still, I think we have them edged. I think we have them edged out. Dallas looks pretty good as far as their overall depth goes. They have several 3.5-star players. But even so, I think we edged them out slightly. I mean, obviously the Rangers are going to be good too. Yeah, I mean, they have 2 5-star players, 2 4.5-star players. In regards to star power, the Rangers definitely have us beat. But I think overall depth-wise, we are definitely the most impressive team in the league. Yeah. I mean, this may be biased, but I didn't see any other roster that had the amount of combined, not only just depth, but star power that we have. Obviously, there are other teams that have more star power overall. But what I'm saying is, with the star power on our team combined with the depth, I think our roster is the most impressive. I really do. Let's take a look at the player stats. Onishko with 55 points on the season so far. Yeager with 42, 41 for Peter, 35 for Stenberg, 34 for Makarov, 31 for Kiviharju, 22 for Nemestikov and Chychrun, 20 for Zetterberg. So it doesn't look like we're scoring as much as last season. I guess that's to be expected, though, because that was honestly an insane scoring rate that we had last season. I think it was, like 4.7 something. It was crazy. Beck and Khmelevsky with 19. Then you have 18 for Velikov. Only 17 for Lodnia. Then you have 17 for Provorov as well. 14 for Wu. 10 for Klee. 6 for Fabro. 5 for Zarazun. 3 for Vilchinski. 2 for Martin. And 1 for Eriksson in 2 games played. Of course, he just recently came back from his long injury. And in goal, you have Ivanov in 25 games played with 2 shutouts and a .912 save percentage, and Paris in 20 games played with 2 shutouts and a .918 save percentage. So both of them doing very well. Check out the team stats. We are first in goals for per game with a 3.9. Yeah, I kind of figured we were by far less than last season. I mean, we were still scoring a ton of goals, don't get me wrong, but last season was just crazy. But nonetheless, we are still at the top of the league in that stat. Goals against per game, we are at a 3.05, which is good enough for 12th in the league. Power play, we are second in the league with a 27.5. And the penalty kill is sitting at an 82.5, good enough for 12th. So, yeah, I think we're just going to go to the end of the season here. Like, it just wouldn't feel right trading Chychrun or Provorov in a season like this. I mean, if something changes between now and the trade deadline, like if we go on a tremendous losing streak somehow, then sure, maybe I'll reconsider. But as things are right now, I think we could just safely advance to the end of the season. And we are at the end of our regular season, not the regular season as a whole, because there are still games left to be played for other teams. But we have 82 games played now, and we finished 46, 29, and 7. Definitely had a rough go of it in the second half of the season, so I must admit I am a little nervous for the playoffs. Goals for per game, we are sitting at a 3.61. Goals against per game is at a 3.17. That is 14th in the league. Power play is still pretty good, 24.7, second in the league. And penalty kill looks like is what really fell off. Unfortunately, we are now 23rd in the league with a 79.8. So we can never really seem to figure out the penalty kill, unfortunately. Let's take a look at the player stats. In goal, you have Ivanov with a 913 save percentage and a 910 for Paris. And they had roughly the same amount of games played, 46 for Paris, 43 for Ivanov. So goaltending wasn't anything special this year, but it was solid all around. On defense, you have Kiviharju with 54 points, 49 for Yurichek, 31 for Chikrin, 25 for Wu, 25 for Provorov, 15 for Vilchinsky, and 8 for Martin. And at forward, you have 93 points for Yeager, 80 points for Onishko in 63 games. He spent some time injured. Makarov was 64, Stenberg was 64 as well, 60 for Peter, 42 for Lotnia, 40 for Nemestikov, 39 for Zetterberg, 30 for Kamilovsky, 28 for Velikov, 25 for Beck, 16 for Eriksson and Klee, and 14 for Zarazun. And we are going up against the Ottawa Senators in the first round of the playoffs. They were 49, 25, and 8 during the regular season. So that'll just about do it for this one. And in the next one, we will go through the Year 10 playoffs, starting with the Ottawa Senators. See you guys then.